Imagine being trapped at the bottom of the world, a place of relentless ice and howling winds, with a medical emergency that only you can fix. This isn't a movie plot. It's the incredible true story of Leonid Rogozov, a Soviet doctor who found himself in the most terrifying situation imaginable. In 1961, at just 27 years old, he was the only physician stationed at the remote Novolazarevskaya base in Antarctica. Winter was closing in, cutting them off completely from the outside world. No planes, no ships, just 13 men surrounded by an endless expanse of white. Then, disaster struck. Leonid started feeling a familiar nagging pain in his lower right abdomen. It grew stronger, accompanied by weakness and nausea. As a surgeon, he knew the signs all too well. It was acute appendicitis. Back home, this would be a routine operation. But here, at the edge of civilization, it was a death sentence. Without surgery, his appendix would rupture, leading to peritonitis and a certain agonizing end. He was the only one who could perform the surgery, but how could he possibly operate on himself? For 2 days, he tried conservative treatments, cold packs, antibiotics, hoping against hope for a miracle. He documented his own deteriorating condition in his journal, his clinical detachment warring with his growing fear. The pain became unbearable. He knew time was running out. A violent blizzard was raging outside, making any thought of an emergency evacuation impossible. He was faced with a stark choice: attempt the impossible or surrender to fate. Leonid chose to fight. He wrote in his diary, "I have to think through the only possible way out. To operate on myself. It's almost impossible. But I can't just fold my arms and give up." He began to prepare. This wasn't a sterile, well-lit operating theater. It was a small room in a research station. He instructed his team, a meteorologist and a mechanic, on how to assist. Their jobs were simple but vital: hand him instruments, hold a mirror, and be ready to inject adrenaline if he lost consciousness. They were terrified, but their loyalty to their friend and doctor was unwavering. He meticulously sterilized his surgical tools and planned every single step of the procedure. He couldn't lie down fully, as that would make him faint, so he had to operate in a semi-reclined position. He had only a small, round shaving mirror to see the reflection of what he was doing. On the night of April 30th, 1961, the surgery began. He administered a local anesthetic, but he knew it wouldn't be enough to block all the pain. He was about to cut into his own body. With a steady hand, he made the first incision, a 12-centimeter cut into his own abdomen. The pain was immense, but he gritted his teeth, focusing with superhuman concentration. The mirror gave him a distorted, reversed view, making every movement a complex mental calculation. He couldn't wear gloves, needing the sensitivity of his bare fingers to feel his way through the anatomy he couldn't properly see. Blood loss made him weak and dizzy. Every few minutes he had to pause, wipe the sweat from his brow, and fight off waves of nausea. His assistants, pale and shaken, watched in horrified awe. At one point, he accidentally nicked his cecum, the beginning of his large intestine, and had to painstakingly stitch it up before continuing. The search for the appendix was a blind, agonizing process. He later wrote, "I'm getting weaker and weaker. My head is starting to spin. Every 4 to 5 minutes I rest for 20-25 seconds. Finally, here it is, the cursed appendage." He found the appendix, dark and swollen. It was on the verge of bursting. He knew he had made the right decision. With careful precision, he excised it, applied antibiotics directly into the wound, and began the slow, exhausting process of stitching himself back up. The entire operation took nearly 2 hours. 2 hours of intense pain, extreme focus, and an unbreakable will to live. As he tied the final suture, he was utterly depleted, but he was alive. He had done it. He had performed a successful appendectomy on himself in the middle of Antarctica. The recovery was just as remarkable. His self-prescribed antibiotic regimen worked. Within 5 days, his temperature was back to normal, and after a week, he removed his own stitches. 2 weeks after cutting himself open, Leonid Rogozov was back on duty, tending to his comrades. His incredible feat was not just a testament to his surgical skill, but a monumental display of human courage and resilience. When the world finally learned of his story, he became an instant hero, a symbol of the indomitable spirit of exploration and survival. His journal entries from that time are a chilling and inspiring look into the mind of a man staring death in the face and refusing to blink. He wrote, "I did not allow myself to think about anything other than the business at hand. My poor assistants. At the last minute I looked at them. They stood in white coats and were whiter than white themselves. I was scared too. But then I took the syringe with Novocaine and gave myself the first injection. And somehow, I automatically switched into operating mode, and from that point, I didn't notice anything else." Leonid Rogozov's story serves as a powerful reminder of what we are capable of when pushed to the absolute limit. It's a story of intellect, bravery, and the sheer force of will. He returned from Antarctica a legend, and continued his career as a doctor, eventually heading the surgery department of a hospital in St. Petersburg until his death in 2000. His actions in that small, frozen room at the bottom of the world remain one of the most incredible medical feats ever recorded. So, the next time you think you're facing an insurmountable challenge, remember the story of the doctor who operated on himself. It shows us that with courage, preparation, and an unwavering belief in ourselves, the human spirit can triumph over almost any obstacle. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible true stories, and share this video with someone who needs a dose of inspiration. We'll see you in the next one.